Hi, this is Marty, VK4 Kilo Charlie. Today I'm at a poda park, Jill Chamberlain Nature Refuge, and it's a close one to home for me. So I thought I'd come and make this video about a new version of the Mad Dog Coil that I've created. Now, some of you may be familiar with the Mad Dog Coils that I've been making over the last 2 to 3 years. And I've shared those making experiences on my YouTube channel so that everybody can see the process that I've gone through to make the coils. I've decided now with these latest versions that I've been prototyping that I'm going to sell them. So I've had a few inquiries from people over the years that they'd like to buy them from me. Up to this point, I haven't been in a position to be able to make and sell. But I now am, and so I guess this is the launch video of the Mad Dog Coils version 40 and version 80. So I'm going to take you through today, just showing you the setup of these two coils and those in operation. So here's the Mad Dog Coil, the new version. This is the 80 model, Mad Dog Coils 80. There's around about 607 windings there on that former. It's not very wide, it's only probably about 1 inch wide. And the reason for it to be a little longer and narrow is it gives you some finer control with regards to adjusting the collar up and down. So let's take you through this one. This one is mounted on a tripod. It's about 1 meter off the ground. The coil comes with a BNC connector, which is handy. That way you don't need any other plate or anything like that. The inner connector from the BNC is connected to this active banana plug socket. From there we just have a link wire, a banana plug that comes up to the collar. And the collar is designed so that the banana plug just fits straight into the end there, and then the tension can be adjusted with this wing nut on the collar, and it's quite easy to slide up and down. So at the moment I've got a 5.2 meter or about a 17-foot telescopic stainless steel whip. So here is the ground socket. It's indicated by a black marker. The inner connector is indicated by the red marker. So the ground, of course, internally, that's connected to the shield of the coax. From here, you can then lay out your counterpoise wires. So whether this is ground mounted or up off the ground, counterpoise wires or radial wires. I like to use speaker wire. It's a little thicker, good quality copper. I've got 5 speaker wires, each at 4.5 meters long, and they're all soldered to this one banana plug. And I find for the lower bands like 80, 40 or 30, 17 and 20, that just laying 2 of the wires out in one direction and the other 3 180 degrees opposite out that way. They're not, they're just lying next to each other, but I find that brings up a pretty good tune. When I go to the higher bands like 15, 12 and 10, it's a little bit more dependent on getting those counterpoise wires at the right length. So there you have it. That's the 80 model. This one here is the metric version. Because all the bolts top and bottom are at M10, so 10 millimeter metric thread. The coil comes with a coupler nut at the top so that it's easy to screw in the different antenna options. So let's have a look at the tuning on this one. Now this antenna is designed to be able to tune 80 meters with the big 17-foot whip and the 80 version of the Mad Dog Coils. So we've got 17 feet or just over 5 meters we'll bring this collar down. 1.01 at 3615. Fantastic. Okay, just switch the coil over to the Mad Dog Coils 40, which is a little bit shorter, probably about 1/3 less the length of the coil. And this version is the Imperial version, so it's not the 40M. The M is the metric. This is just the 40, which is the Imperial. So this has got a 3/8 24 UNF thread on the top and bottom. This whip that's on this one is a foldable military whip. It's about 2.8 meters in length. It has 7 sections that fold down. Let's see how we go tuning to 40 on this one. Okay, got the rig expert ready. Let's scan the 40 meter. So yeah, resonant there, 7170, 1.36. And with a little bit of fine tuning with the counterpoise wires, that would go a little bit lower. Okay, let's take it up to 30 and 20 and so forth. Okay, 30 meters. Run that scan. And 1.08 at 10135. Okay, coil set for 20 meters. And here's our scan. 1.03 at 14.215. Quite a flat curve there. So yeah, it'll work really well right across the 20 meter band without even having to adjust the coil. Okay, we have the option to add more collars, and the advantage of these stainless steel collars is that when you take the wing nut off, you can just spread them apart, and I can put a second collar on here. And you can add a third one. So if we were adjusting this one, you always tune from the top down. So this one we could probably tune for around about 20 meters, and this one could be tuned for around about 40. Let's see how that works. Okay, so I've tuned those. The top one is tuned for 20, and then the bottom one is tuned for 40. Here we go. Oh, look at that. 14.255, 1.11. Okay, we'll now swap out this to the bottom one for a quick change of frequency operation. Okay, now so we're set for 40. Let's do the scan on 40. 1.05, 7090. Fantastic. And that was the quick change method. Again, you can load these up. I'd say probably a max of 3 collars, particularly on the 40 model here. You could probably get, like 20, 30 and 40 meters all dialed up at the right frequencies, and then do the quick change. So the coils themselves, the top cap is permanently fixed. That's because there's an inner connection from the top of the coil to the underside of that bolt. The bottom cap, however, is just a screw thread, and that can be removed. And you can buy spare caps, just blanks, that you could drill out yourself and put any kind of thread, mounting thread that you want, and then you could just screw that on. So here's one with about a 6mm thread on it, but if you wanted to use a 1/4 inch Whitworth thread for a tripod, or a 1/2 inch thread, yeah, you can go for it, whatever kind of thread that you want, and that just screws on, and there you go. So here we have the ground spike mounting option. Again, whatever thread your ground spike is, whether it's 3/8 24 or the M10, or again, if it's something completely different, you can order just a standard bottom cap, drill it out and put your own bolt through, and just get a coupler nut. So with regards to radial wires, again, I've got those 5 soldered to that banana plug, but you've got the other options of getting piggyback banana plugs. And you could just plug them into each other and attach counterpoise or radial wires in that method. I just wanted to draw your attention to another feature, and that is if you wanted to bypass the feed point and all the terminals and lugs in this area and just use the coil on its own without this feed point assembly, you can take the that banana plug out of there and plug it into this socket, which is connected to the bottom bolt of the end cap. That way you've got your electrical connection coming up through whatever feed point assembly you might be using. In this case, I've got a Pack 12 feed assembly on an earth spike. It's coming up, making the active connection through that banana plug up to the top of the coil slider. This next option is to mount the coil to a magnetic mount base. So here I've got the magnetic mount base stuck on the top of the vehicle. As I said, the bottom screw off ends of the coil are interchangeable. So I'm just going to take this and thread that onto the bottom of the coil and thread it all back onto the magnet mount. The reason I've done that is because I've got a 6mm thread into this particular magnet base, so it's a bit of an unusual thread size. Nice and sturdy, not sturdy enough for mobile traveling, but good enough for stationary use on top of the vehicle. So I'm just going to throw the military whip on top of that. Okay, we've got the military whip on top of the coil now, 2.8 meters. Got the counterpoise wires also on. The format that I've got them in is I've got 3 bunched up, just drooping over the front of the vehicle, and 2 bunched up, just drooping over the back of the vehicle. And let's see what kind of reading we're getting with that. Yeah, so around about the 1.5 to 1. Okay, and that's not, haven't been really fine tuning it or playing around with it much. It's a pretty acceptable reading. So I'm just going to activate this park, try and get 10 contacts. VK4 Kilo Charlie.
VK4 Kilo Charlie, g'day Marty, how's things, over?
Yeah, good thanks, good thanks. Gav, I've just set up at a park, Jill Chamberlain Nature Refuge, VK 3826, Poda Park, over. VK4 Kilo Charlie calling CQ Parks on the air and listening.
VK4 November Hotel.
VK4 November Hotel. G'day there, Ray. 5 and 7, over.
Yeah, thanks for 5 and 7, you're 5 and 9.
Okay, I've adjusted the coil now for 20 meter band after making some good contacts on 40. Going to now call CQ on 20. Let's see what the SWR reading is. Okay, 14.195 megahertz, 1 is to 1.2. Looking good.
Portable, Victor, kilowatt 3, X-ray, Victor, portable, QRZ.
VK4 Kilo Charlie.
VK4 Kilo Charlie, thanks for the shout, QR557. Kilo Golf 5, Charlie India Kilo.
Kilo Golf 5, Charlie India Kilo. That sounds like Steve from Texas. G'day, mate. You're coming in 5 and 5, over.
QSL, Kilo Golf 5, Charlie India Kilo, you're 510, 52 Texas. righty. Appreciate another one.
Well, let's now wrap this video up. Here's the little 40, the Mad Dog Coil 40 that we just used on top of the vehicle with the magnetic mount. So I've introduced the range to you, the 40, the 40M, which is the metric version, the 80 and the 80M. The 4 models, the website, maddogcoils.com.au. That will have all the information with regards to these coils on it and the pricing. If you do have any questions, please leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching. I'm Marty, VK4 Kilo Charlie.